Namaste. Namaste. May the divine in me greet the divine within you. For we are all the divine. That creative energy within us comes from a source. And my approach to this holistic health is that first we have to know the source and how that source will manifest into every aspect of our being. And once we can understand that, then we can begin to keep ourselves healthy. Tat savitur varenyam argo devasya dhimani yo yo na prachodayat. All that we have been talking about today is manifestations of different types and sources of attributes. And in this mantra, Gayatri mantra, Saraswati mantra, which is the source of creativity and the creation of the universe, talks about the Mahavritis. And what we are discussing is how these Mahavritis have manifested at different levels in our existence, from the lowest to the highest, and how we can come to terms with them in a healthy way. This is where energy begins. That's the source. And that source of energy comes to our manifestation. As Dr. Singh was talking this morning, we start with the smaller subatomic particles, then into the atoms, then into different elements, then sodium and chlorine, into sodium chloride, forming the salts, and then from the salts we get organic compounds giving rise to hereditary compounds like the DNA, etc., which give rise to a whole string of beings like us. And we are supposed to be the most intellectually endowed ones. That we will question later. Life is not a compartmentalized existence. It's a statement. You know, we have Dr. Shailesh. He's compartmentalized as a being, give you sense of name. So am I. But this is not really what life is. We have so many different beings, so many different substances, and we as beings, we are being taught to think in compartments, that we got to do physics, and we got to do chemistry, and we got to do different subjects. But I'm saying this because I want you to think outside of the box, that it is not pieces, but it is the whole. And we first have to look at the whole. Living is being immersed in its wholeness. You're really alive when you're aware of everything that is around you. When you are immersed in that wholeness. And holistic living is being in oneness with all aspects of the self. So when we begin to talk about holistic living, how are we going to live holistically, means being in oneness with all aspects of the self. And for one to live healthy, the word is healthy, they have to be healthy, and I suggest it should be in these 5 areas. Health. When we look at health, we first look at the physique. And I give the mnemonic SIPME. S-I-P-M-E. S is for spiritually. I must be healthy spiritually. I must be healthy intellectually. I must be healthy physically. I must be healthy mentally, and I must be healthy emotionally. You will notice that the physical is in the middle. I got spiritual and intellectual on one side, and I got mental and emotional on the other. Now, sick me, you got to have a sense of being from above. You got to take a picture of seeing yourself from above, not from under, not from the side. And then you will see the beauty of the world. Health comes from the way you're wired. How you are mentally wired. If you're not mentally wired properly, your neurons are not going to fire properly, and depression is going to set in. You have mental diseases, and then you can have physical ailments. So your brain is a very important instrument, which then becomes, as we will talk about, the manifestation of the mind, the others of the disease. But it's the brain that is what is going to keep you healthy. Healthy mind, healthy brain, healthy body. To have a healthy body, so physical, I'm looking at the physical state. For you to be healthy physically, you must have a healthy body. And what do we mean by a healthy body? I use this mnemonic, smell red corns, because it reminds everyone of all the different biological systems in the body. S is skeletal, M is muscular, E is endocrine, L is lymphatic, R is respiratory, D is for excretory, D is for digestive, CO is for circulatory, R is for reproductive, N is for the nervous, S is for sensory. All your organs, all your systems of being healthy are in smell red corn, and you ought to be able to be healthy in every aspect of that. The next is that you got to have happy, healthy molecules. There must be a certain amount of energy that bubbles in you that must be healthy. And if those molecules are healthy, they're going to vibrate in a healthy way and therefore keep you healthy. Now, in order to have these nice, happy molecules, someone spoke a little earlier about, and that's Swami, about the Ayurveda. This body has got the doshas, which are the constitution. Each one of our bodies is constituted differently. We got to know what is our constitution, what is our body constitution. And the K is for kapha, P is for pitta, V is for vata. If we know our constitution, then we can use our thinking, our foods, so many other things that we can use to make ourselves healthy. But first you have to know yourself. This is the pathway to begin to know yourself. So if you know your body constitution, you know, if I'm heavyweight, I'm not going to eat all those carbohydrates. You know, if I'm lightweight and I'm mentally confused, or, you know, disposed, then I'm not going to be, you know, I have to eat more solid food. So each one of our constitution is going to determine how we are going to interact with this universe and how we are going to keep ourselves healthy. Then we next come to food. Because if you know your doshas, if you know your constitution, then you can know what is the most appropriate food for you to eat. As in the case of myself, you know, I am pitta constituted, but I eat a lot of mirchi. And what happens? I have to see the doctor. Because now I have an imbalance. And when I have an imbalance, now I know that I got to do something to bring it back into balance. The point I'm making here is that if we know ourselves and we know how our body reacts to certain situations, we will be able to correct it and keep ourselves healthy. And then you need to have, apart from the food, a diet. And the diet can be not eating, as you say, once a week, miss a meal. But there's also the word, the food, the term that is called sattvic. And this is one attribute of the mind. The constitution of the mind is of the three gunas, which is rajas, tamas, and sattva. So your mind also has an influence, and that's what I will be, emphasizing. Your thoughts are the most potent thing to keep you healthy. If you do not have healthy thoughts, you are going to be unhealthy. And I'll talk about that. And you see, I have DBDS. A simple, good meal is dal, bhat, dahi, and sabzi. Dal, bhat, dahi, and sabzi. DBDS. You got to have different constitution of food. You got to have your proteins, you got to have your carbohydrates, you got to have your milk products, etc. Some people don't want the milk. And the reason for that is because American milk is different from Indian milk. Just as how the American cow is different from the Indian cow.
No, organic milk in USA has no hormone in it.
That's organic. But still the milk here, the milk in the United States is acidic in nature. The milk in India is basic in nature. The pH is different. And of course, we got to know the environment of the herbs and the spices that we have around. And not only that, we have to know the environment in which we are living in so that what we take from it will keep us healthy. They say that for every disease in a place, their medicines is just outside. The herbs are there to make you healthy for your imbalances. So we talked about your physical health and some of the pointers that we need to have in order to be physically healthy. This is the greatest area where people have got imbalances. And many people never thought that if you're emotionally unhealthy, that it can lead to physical unhealthiness. In this emotional state of being healthy, it is important that you be compassionate. In other words, you have to now reach out not only to the self, but to that which is around you. Next thing is that your actions should be duty-bound. In other words, you have to now start thinking differently. It is not me. It is not I. A lot of we talk about the ego and that mentality. It is we. And your actions must be duty-bound. It's not that I want this. We all want things. We want things. We want everything in the world. And those wants has increased our pride and our ego that, look, I got to positive lands, right? But you have to act according to your needs. And there must be a different mindset in the way that you approach your life and your living in order for you to be healthy. Operate according to your needs, not to your wants. Your action must be duty-bound and not selfish-bound. Because everybody says, many people, they're married, and the wife says, you're no longer doing anything for me. And the husband says, well, you forget me a long time, and you're not doing anything for me. And it is me, until they're all crying, what? We, like the little pigs. One of the best healthy emotions, the best healthy emotions that we can have is one of motherhood. Now, some people will ask, what about the man? How do they think about motherhood? It is an extreme way of caring for others And not only, so motherhood, it's a very important aspect of your health. In the case of your parent, that is an important part of your health. And the next one is environmentally tied emotion. You must have a passion for your environment. And this is one thing you got to know. If one species dies out, no longer exists, part of you have died. Your being is not only as humans. Your being is not only as a person, as Mahesh Mehtaji. It is all of us together. And not only us as humans, but the plants and the animals and every atom in this universe is part of us. And if there's any change in any one of them, part of us has changed. Next is mental. Most of our diseases are mentally born. I know, I'm a teacher. Students, if they don't want to go to school, in the morning they get up and say, Mommy, I got a tummy ache. They do not have a tummy ache. They do not. But they come to their mom and say, Mommy, my tummy is paining me. And you know what? After 10 minutes, they really have a tummy ache. Because what they have done is suggested that upon themselves. So suggestion has an important role on how you are going to be healthy or not healthy. Negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative tendencies make you unhealthy. So the first thing you got to remove it. And this is what the art of holistic living is all about, is that it creates that self-confidence and that positivity within you to allow you to remove all these negatives. Important thing, positive thinking. You've got to think positive, always. You've got to lift your head up. That's why we say you've got to lift your head up to the heavens, not bend to the earth. By lifting your head up, you're being positive. By bending down, you're going to the ground. You must have a creative mind. Because without creativity, you are dead. And this is one of the reasons why intellectuals, people of such, they always have to keep doing something. You know, like Dr. Singh, he can't rest. No matter what I do to him. He got to work. And if he didn't get to work this area, he's finding some other area to do the work. His mind is constantly, you know, a little earlier he said, his hobby is what? Thinking. His hobby is to think. And think of ways of giving us problems. The mental capacity to control anger, greed, etc. Now, I think that was discussed a little earlier. That these are what we call the negative things like lust, calm, control, low, more, etc. That these are negative things. And if you are healthy, you naturally will get away from these things. As you know, as you have said. If you get yourself to a state of being, well-being, these negative things will naturally get away from you. You do not have to say you have to stop eating. You do not have to say you have to stop getting angry. Or you do not have to say I have to be fearless. Because all these things naturally disappear. Naturally. You don't have to take the drugs. You don't have to take the alcohol. You don't have to take the stimulants. They naturally disappear from you. And that is really the part of this holistic science lifestyle, is that once you empower yourself, you are going to enhance the better part of you. Things like attachment, greed, lust, ego, hatred, luxury, intoxication, all those things disappear naturally. So your mental state is important. A positive mental state is important. And here I will give you a little episode. Many people don't like many of my episodes. When I recently came to Boston, in 1989, I think it was, when I started my little wonder in Dorchester, a young gentleman, 20 years old, came to see the Swami. And I was there, but I had my little short pants and was just casually sitting around. So I said to this gentleman, I said, oh, you were here to see the Swami. I'm going inside to see if I can see him, if he can see you. And I went inside, changed my clothes, come outside. And said, oh, you want to see the Swami? I said, yes. First thing he said to me, he said, could you tell me how long I am going to live? Now, this 20-year-old Caucasian guy, in his mind, he thinks that the Swami know everything. Even how long he's going to live. So, I have a little habit of looking at the hand and the face and all those other things. And I told him that you have a very long life to live. He broke down and started crying. I told him he has a long life to live. Then he said, I'm not coming from the Deaconess Hospital. And they have sent me home. And they have given me 2 weeks to live. I have full-blown AIDS. My T-cell count is 4. And they said, go home and just enjoy your days. After telling me that story, he asked me the question again. Swamiji, how long am I going to live? And I looked at him straight in his eyes. And I said to him, you have a long life to live. And remember, in 1989, 1990, having a full-blown AIDS is a definite death sentence. And when I looked at his eyes and I said that to him, I saw immediately a change in his being. Immediate change. What I'm making there? Affirmations of such. Once your brain begins to be rewired, it brings about a change in the body. And I have to tell you, that person is still alive today. Your mental disposition is very important for your health. And no matter how sick you are, if you have the right mental state and approach, you are going to be better. That's the message I have to give myself to. So, thought. Intellectual. You must develop a passion for something. And this is why people who have a passion to do something, they could never get sick, even if they have to drive 2 hours one way to work. They have to do it. Right. There are many of them. You have to have a thirst to know, and I think this is what this whole seminar is all about. It is to give you ideas so that you will be able to have a thirst to know who you are ultimately. You must have a sense of higher thinking. Mahatma Gandhi said, high thinking, simple living. And this brings you to a source of intuitiveness where you may not know where you're going, but you have this feeling that that is the right way to go, and therefore you will be able to get there. I have a lot to do here. Now, spirituality, spiritually healthy. A lot in the Indian community, we have, we like to read, do rituals, read Ramayana, read holy books, do scriptural readings, etc. But all this is to really develop your Atma Shakti, your inner being, the power of your inner being. And by having that Atma Shakti really is what is self-confidence. And that has nothing to do with your ego or anything else. But here is where I want you to think about. In order to be healthy, your thought process, your being, your lifestyle must be based on continuous systems, not discontinuous systems. So, for example, many of us think that when we die, that's the end of life. We either go to heaven or hell, and many of us want to go to heaven, not me, and some of us want to go to hell. They do not want to go to hell, and they end up there. Anyway, the point here is that these are discontinuous thinking processes, and they therefore interfere with the state of your being. Because when time for death, you think you're going to die, and therefore fear and all these uncertainties come. Whereas if you know that this is just a transformation, if this is just another phase, you accept that phase happily. In other words, no matter you're dying, and you'll still be contented and peaceful. And it must be all-inclusive. In other words, it's not only for the Indians to be able to do this, but it must be for all people. This wholeness is what I'm trying to get at. We are all one. No matter what is your race, religion, creed, disposition, whatever. We are together, we are one, we are the whole, and you are special. Now we talk about the coaches. Around each one of us, we've got energies. And I think someone talked about that, the mental, the undermind coach, frontmind coach, etc. But we carry our energies around us. And that is what we have to develop. And we want to have positive energies around us so that when we meet people, they're going to be pleasant. They're going to be, respectful and all those things. This whole business about holistic health is the brain work. It's how you're wired, how your brain functions, and your brain has got so many different parts of it function, and you have to keep the whole brain healthy, not only part of the brain healthy. This is just different parts of your brain have different function. So if you want to be speech healthy, then your speech part of your brain has to be healthy. If you want your heart, blood pressure, and all those areas to be healthy, then that part of your brain must be healthy. If you want to keep balance and not fall down, all those things. It is all the game of the brain. And here is where I will spend a little time. If you notice here, holistic health involves holistic learning. And if you can learn in the entirety, the wholeness, you see, you've got all your sense organs, then with the healthy emotions, it processes through the brain, music, relaxation, meditation, all these are things that we try to pacify our well-being. We want smell, we write out the body and things like that. But more important, we try to be in an altered state of consciousness in our learning. And information flowing in this way through a disciplined mind, which we talked about yoga and all those things. And then through the consciousness, which is connected, aware, sustainability, and continuous system. In other words, when you have that sense of overture in which you can extend to all others, then that gets encrypted into your static memory, the long-term memory, then gets into your DNA, then gets into the universal consciousness of the cosmos. And the information flow is also in the opposite direction. There's not only one way. So what happens? You can get knowledge from the supreme, that state to where we are right now. Let me see here. Tuning the brain and mind for perfect health. You use mantras, you use yoga, postures, relaxation, active memory and recall, mnemonic sutras, that's what the yoga sutras are all about. Learning in an altered state of consciousness, music. Most important, you got to have a cool head. Coolness is calm. And when you're calm, your happy molecules begin to generate and you begin to get healthy. I think they talk about the chakras, energy centers, those things, you also get them in balance. And in conclusion here, he said, live in the moment. brain is what you determine. You are the center of the universe. The I that we are talking about, you are the center of the universe. Everything else flows apart from there. Feel the joy in the universe. It is your perception. It's how you look at the world. That is the reflection you're going to have. If you have red glasses, you're going to see everything red. If you have green glasses, you're going to see everything green. You have to feel the joy of the universe. Let the joy of the world reflect you. Think positive, enhance peace. More important, your thoughts generate everything around you. That is the most important thing. So someone could be far away. You just have to think about them being peaceful and so forth, and they can enjoy that. One must have the right spirit, the right intellectual pursuit, physically empowered, with healthy organs and tissues, a state of mind that is prayerful and appreciative, and most important, emotionally gratifying. This what leads you to a healthy, wealthy,